The Passionate Leader, because leadership without passion is just a title.
Meeting. We got a collapse in the garage. Get the squad back equipment in here. We got an I-beam gone to a firefighter.
Get that out, urgent, transmit a second along.
This is where titles end and leadership begins. Ask yourself, what are you carrying that was never yours to carry? Maybe it's a mindset. Maybe it's a fear. Maybe it's a habit, a belief, or a wound that's been passed down for generations. Some of us inherit more than eye color in family traditions. We inherit anger, silence, self-doubt, pride, the belief that asking for help is a weakness, the belief that our worth is tied to our title. And if we're not careful, we pass those same things to the people who follow us. Today's guest, Jason Yerkovich, has made it his mission to help people recognize those patterns and break them. As the author of Carrying the Fire and host from the upcoming Built, Not Inherited podcast, Jason challenges us to stop blaming our past and start taking ownership of the future we're creating. The truth is, leadership isn't just about leading firefighters, it's organizations or teams. It's about having the courage to look inward and ask what patterns need to end with us. Because the strongest leaders don't just build departments, they build better legacies. Ask yourself, what pattern am I carrying today that I don't want my children, my family, or my firefighters to inherit tomorrow? Before we get to our conversation, we do need to discuss our sponsor. And today's episode, like the rest of the last few, probably half a dozen, have been brought to us by the First Due Project in the Fire and Foliage Symposium, happening October 16th and 17th in Nashua, New Hampshire. Born out of the belief that too many conferences have become all about attendance numbers, social media profile posts, and a packed schedule, at Fire and Foliage, you're not a number, you're a firefighter, an officer, a mentor, or better yet, somebody simply trying to become better than they were yesterday. With the First Due Project, we believe firefighters deserve the opportunity to grow, regardless of rank, title, or budget. That's why we're committed to affordable education, meaningful conversations, and creating an experience where people actually connect instead of just passing through. If this sounds like the environment you're looking for, visit us at firstdueproject.org for tickets, and we'll see you in October. Let's get to our conversation with Jason Yerkovich. Welcome to The Passionate Leader.
JP, thanks. Thank you very much. That was quite the intro. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. It's always awkward to hear those things, you know.
It sucks when you're humble sometimes because you have to sort of eat that humble pie in a good way.
Yeah, no. And
sure.
I appreciate it. Everything you phrased it. You hit the nail on the head, man. It was great. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to just sit, to kind of chat. We'll talk about your book, kind of where you got into the fire service. So for those that apparently live under a rock, have never heard of you, never seen you on social media, why don't you kind of introduce yourself to all the guests, the listeners and viewers?
Sure. My name is Jason Yerkovich. I am a battalion chief for the Bridgeview Fire Department in Illinois, south suburb of Chicago. It is a two-station department. We run 9 guys. I'm proud of my department, proud of my members. They're good people. We are, I believe in my mind, changing our culture, growing our culture, doing things like this, talking more, allowing people to have voices, which helps us grow with I would say a better sorry about that, just a better team ethic that we have that I saw when I started. These guys, girls, they're all about helping each other, and I love it. With that, I mean, my background for me personally, I'm a father. I am a husband. I have a son who is my world. I have 3 stepkids. They are amazing. I love them. My wife she's amazing. All this stuff is touched on in my book. I've created a new blueprint for myself, a healthier one, And that's the whole intent and purpose that I have for everyone with my message, is for everybody to understand, like, whatever's going on, whatever you're doing, if you can find awareness and you can accept that and acknowledge it, you can change it. You can
Mm,
change the outcome of your future, and you can make it a future that's a better one, not just for you, for the people surrounding you. Because at the end of the day, it's about building people
mm,
and bringing others up. That is, I love the passionate leader. The name, I think it's amazing, because we should be passionate about that if we're leaders, or if we're in a
yeah.
leadership role, right?
Dude, honestly, it came, I had similar viewpoints that I shared one day. I'm like, I wanted to start something, and it started out of a need. I was working underneath a very suppressive fire chief, and it was entertaining in an aspect because I launched the Facebook page um a few years ago now. I've only really been heavy into the social media and the daily posts and stuff like that for about a year now, and the podcast is about a year. And but for oh my god, I'm telling you, maybe 3 years ago, I launched this phantom, the passionate leader Facebook post, and I would do like motivational things, and I never told. I mean, aside from my wife, like nobody knew that it was me. And so
Amazing.
we launched a officer development class because I mean it's so funny where there's a lot of leadership stuff out there, and we still really miss the mark a lot, I think, in the fire service. But um we we're doing this officer development class. We finally realized, okay, we're gonna get people prepared to be officers within our department. And I'm going through, and at the end of my welcome to leadership, and my hoopla, and this is what it's like to be a leader. I have a slide, and it's read this book by this author and listen to this podcast by this guy, and I'm listing all like your typical fire service giants, and I throw up the passionate leaders logo, and one of the guys goes, does anybody know who that guy is? Because he drops some amazing stuff like out of nowhere. And
Fantastic.
I look at him dead ass in the eye, and I go, "You're looking at him," and he goes, "I know. I'd like to meet him." And I'm like, he wasn't picking it up, dude. It was so funny.
That's fantastic.
And after that point, that was sort of where I started to kick off more with the passion, because it
Hmm.
just in
And let me
what
say,
I
pardon
love.
me,
Yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead.
kudos to you, because I have to say, you 3 years, a year of doing the reels and all that stuff, being someone who's ventured into this world 3 4 months ago, 4 months ago now,
Sure.
it is work. It is, and I
It
mean,
is.
I enjoy it, it's great, but it's relentless. You have to
Yes.
put in the work. It's not just
Yeah.
turn on the camera, do this, no, man. People, this man over here is putting in the work. It's a lot. I enjoy it,
Brother,
but
you
it's a lot,
so
man.
I think Shawnee's my wife. She has it on her phone. I did a video a long time ago. I'm gonna have to repost it because it was me crashing out. It was a bunch of different like takes, because people see very, very seldom do I ever get a video right first take. And there was one morning, I'm like, I need to get it was like very near the beginning. I was like, I need to get it out every day, like at this time, because I was, you research and like, okay, so this is the time. And that was when I cared more about followers and in numbers
Yeah.
and all that shit. So I'm sitting here in the basement with the wall that's behind me now, and I like one take, two takes, three takes, 12 takes, and now it's like I gotta get my ass to work, and I crashed out, and I sent it to her, and that actually it is somewhere on the TikTok page. I'll have to repost it again because it was very entertaining at the point, but at the time I'm like, I just can't get it frickin' because what it was is I would have a script, and I was trying to go verbatim, and
Hmm.
I'll tell you, the ones that are the best, I'm not sure if it's the same way with you, but the ones that are the best are the ones that I read what I intend to say, and I just kind of
Hmm.
ad lib, let's relax, let it out. But yeah, you're not wrong, brother. It's a grind.
It
And
is a grind.
some will probably notice I have taken not a step back, but I don't care if I post every day. I don't care if I
Hmm.
post every, once a week. I don't even pay attention. Sometimes I kind of wish I did, because I'll have a video that'll pop off, and I'm like, what about that damn video? And you'll see a doom scrolling through TikTok at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're like, oh, you want more followers? Do this. And I'm like, none of that shit
No,
works.
yeah,
It's so
for sure.
crazy.
For
But
sure.
and I think I mean, there is consistency, right? Keep building it and people will come back. One thing though that I've seen that actually kind of stinks is, especially in the TikTok realm, is that if you follow somebody, like right now, if somebody's not following either one of our platforms, they're going to see us far more regularly than when they hit the follow button, because then it gets cached differently, and you'll see us more. And if you just go to your friends side, but if you're in the For You, like everybody doom scrolls in, I very seldom see people that I follow. So me, when I'm like,
agreed.
would it be cool? Would it be cool to have 100,000 followers? Yeah, pretty neat, right? But after a while, like I said to somebody the other day, the audience just gets to be so damn big that you're like, what? How am I going to keep up with this? But
Yeah, but I would imagine, and I'm going to assume that you're in the same mindset as me of it's not. I don't want to go viral. That's not the intent of our message.
Right.
Our message is to land, so people that do want to follow it, whether it's one person. For me, with this message from my book, if it lands with one person and I change that one person's life or help change that person's life,
Yeah.
and then that goes to their kid and to their grandchild, like that's what this is about, right? And that's
Amen,
leadership.
dude.
That's servant
Yeah.
leadership.
What it was specifically for me, I forget what the post was, but it was one of your posts, and you were talking about prioritizing your family first. And it's something that I hope it resonates with everybody, because I just had this discussion today that there is a fallacy in the fire service that we can leave this really cool thing that people want to believe is a legacy. It is impossible. And this is a hill that I will die on. You cannot leave a legacy in the fire service. It does not matter. In fact, I asked somebody the other day, I'm like, who is Alan Brunacini? They had no idea. It kind of broke my heart, because he was one of the giants when I started getting into the fire service. I'm like, man, he was America's fire chief, like the Smiths and the stories of Mrs. Smith waiting at the bus stop and pouring, and him telling the engine to turn around and pick her up with her groceries. And they're like, what are you talking about, JP? And I'm like, it hurt me a little bit, but it really opened my eyes that our legacy in the fire service only lasts maybe one hiring cycle after we're gone. After that, it's dead in the water. But where it does last is back home in the four walls of our house, with our kids, with our spouses, with our friends and our family, because those are the ones that we really do leave a lasting impact on. And if there's anything that I get a lot from yours, a lot of years lately you've kind of talked a little more about, divorce and things like that. And as a survivor of divorce myself, it is a life altering experience, and that's a whole nother topic for another
that's
time.
that's a whole episode or
right.
a couple or a series.
Amen. Yeah, we'll call them counseling sessions with J&J. I love it. No, it's good stuff. So dude,
but
you
to
hit
your
on so
point,
much. Yeah,
to your point, let me, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Absolutely do.
But that's what you just said is the beauty of it. The beauty is when we have the platform we do, and I'm not talking about the internet stuff. I'm talking about leadership role in the fire service. We train, we do our best to prepare our members for fires, EMS calls, stuff like that. Great. That's our job, right? But to go above and beyond is to have that that legacy. Sorry, my phone's ringing.
No worries, brother.
To have that legacy passed on and to family, right? To our members, so they can have that legacy in their families. Because, brother, you are absolutely correct. The world that we live in, trying to make sure that our members and our people know how important it is to be present at home. I mean, that is a skill in itself. And once they learn to do that, I think they become better firefighters at the firehouse.
Sure.
Because when you know it, I can guarantee it, you see it. When you see members, I will say this, if you care and you see members coming in and out that door and up the stairs and wherever, you can tell who's off. You know
Mm,
something's going on with people if you want to pay attention to your people. So
right.
if we teach these skills, not only get them prepped for every disaster that we can face, but if we can prepare them and help assist them to be great spouses, great parents, great family members, then we are winning, because our fire
Yes.
service is
Yeah.
going to grow and become so much better because of that.
Well, yeah, in one of the things, so we have our Sunday night lives, and one of the questions I asked a long while back in one of the hot topics is, and it's sort of it kind of calls into our mortality in the fire service. I'm like, what is one thing that you see in the fire service coming down the pike, or it's just, now, because I mean, I know my time in the fire service is I have less left than I do that I've put in. And it's scary as hell to say because it feels like just yesterday I was that new kid at 14 years old
Yeah.
who tripped
14. Whew,
over. Yeah, so I started as an explorer in Vermont. Um,
amazing.
but I it's funny because I catch a lot of flack for it because I count those years as service provided because unbeknownst to me, we did a lot more active on scene work than we were really probably legally allowed to at the time. So I didn't realize that, a traditional explorer's post is very much a sit back kid, watch what we do, kind of take your little notes. Yeah, you're wearing gear. You hear, we'll bring you into a structure fire post call to clean up. We
Mhm.
didn't do, I mean, aside from actually going into an IDLH, we were honestly, we were dragging hose. We were changing air bottles. We were, we
Fantastic.
in a recent episode that'll drop a little bit later in August, I was talking about how and I didn't realize this was the case until after. So in episode 1, the pilot episode of this, I brought my mentor on who was the explorer advisor, and his name's Matt Wilson. So he was talking about this one time that he's so proud of us as explorers because there was this one call where none of the volunteers showed up. It was during the day, but it was the summertime, so all of us kids showed up, and we went to work and we extricated a civilian out of their car. I did not realize until then that it was just us kids. I was like, holy crap, dude, you're right, it
Amazing.
was.
Yeah.
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 So I mean, we were doing it, and I catch a lot of flack for that, but I still feel like I'm that 14-year-old kid. I mean, there are days where it's like, holy crap, I do not feel like going in it happens to
Yeah.
everybody.
Everybody.
Um, but what I love, from what I've seen with you, and um right, wrong, or indifferent, we'll kind of, if need be, we can always edit things in and out of the show. So we're just flying by the seat of our pants. I've noticed that you are extremely comfortable making videos and content with your department insignia on. Is that something that your department, you just do it and you're flying by the seat of your pants, or is your department really actually open to that? And if I'm opening a
Um,
can of worms, like I said, dude, this shit can get edited. So
no, I have done it by flying by the seat of my pants. I'm aware of it.
yep,
Um, I actually, one of my first thoughts was actually my own, my own safety. I'm like, I don't know. I'm putting exactly where I'm at, you know.
yeah,
But
yep,
for my village, I I know my community
yeah,
and people who support our department. They love it.
good,
They're very supportive of it, which I
yeah,
appreciate.
yep,
I've not gotten anything from the village. I've actually
perfect,
seen
yeah.
a couple things recently, articles and reels about a couple people who are having issues with their content and having their department's insignias and stuff on. But I've been blessed and lucky that I have not. I mean,
It's yeah,
maybe it's the
dude, and
content that I'm pushing out. I don't know.
it could be. I mean, so it's unfortunate because so my department as a whole, like I have to be extremely careful with what I do because I mean, in mine can be a little bit more rougher around the edges, call
Hmm.
things out. And I'm very fortunate to have a chief who has actually come to bat for me because we are overseen by a board of wards or commissioners, whatever interchangeable title you want to have.
Mhm.
And a few of the videos I put out there, like, he's talking about us. You need to tell him to take that. He's and no, I never will. You'll never hear me talk about people specifically, and unless it is, I'll put a shout out for our episode, or
Yeah, for sure.
if I listen to a good podcast, I'm like, man, give this podcast, all the love in the world you can, whatever the case is. But when it comes to really critiquing and calling out poor traits, because names don't really mean anything. It's the characteristics that we need to
Yep.
attack.
Yep.
And it worked out well because the chief actually, she's like, hey, just so you know, and she kind of ran it down, and I giggled. I'm like, you're shitting me, right? And she goes, no, like, they really want me to, like, write you up and make you pull your stuff off and make you put a disclaimer in. And I go, there's nothing on any of my videos that has any of our. There are, I think, my first couple of videos, our trucks are in the background, but unless you are from our area, you will not know specifically what truck that is, because it just says fire rescue on it's where the on the top of the hose bed. It's all it says. It doesn't even say our department. Yes, people can surmise, and really all it boiled down to, I was talking about poor leadership traits, and I looked at her. I'm like, if it hurts their feelings, maybe the
Why
real
does it
conversation
resonate?
should be. Yeah, so maybe the conversation should be, let's have a seat in my office and we can talk it through, and we'll figure, and what actually it boiled down to is it caused the town to actually have to go in and do some research to what their social media policy was. And she's like, you're not violating anything.
Really?
And actually, the way that it was written at the time was a direct infringement upon my First Amendment rights, and, well, sorry, anybody's First Amendment rights. And
Yes.
um, the state of New Hampshire has, our laws are known as RSAs, and it explicitly says that public employees have the right to speak publicly about their work environment, their conditions
Mhm.
of employment, without the fear of retaliation. Doesn't mean it really happens. No, let's be real, right? So First Amendment
Yeah.
rights, I'm free of speech, not free of consequence. Fully understand that. But again, part of part of being passionate, sometimes my filter is a little full. So we kind of, you know what I mean? We sort of let it flies by the seat of our pants. I've said some very egregious things that have made some people mad. I just posted something about, union, disputes, and,
I
that
saw that one. I saw that one.
it
Yeah.
is it is what it is. It makes people angry. But
I saw that one. I was like, ooh, that's going to rub some people the wrong way.
it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I did one about, like, age restrictions in the fire service. And I always laugh because when I first started, I was much heavier. So, the first thing was, if I attacked you for something, they're like, well, I got to attack this guy. And they're like, well, you're fat. And it's like, wow, congratulations. You've confirmed that you have good eyesight. Do you have anything of substance to put into this conversation? So, but it's good stuff. I love what you do. And the reason I ask is because I find it welcoming when an organization can see value in what their employees are doing, because it works in so many different facades, bringing
Mhm.
in, it's a recruitment and retention tool. If they see that, hey, our BC is able to do this and he's doing it right. And, you can kind of help, make people want to be there,
Yeah.
and it also, honestly, from a civilian standpoint, I feel that sometimes it gives people will hold, such prestige to our positions. Oh my God, a deputy chief or a battalion chief or the chief. And I look at it, maybe I downplay it a little more than I need to, but I'm just a dude. I'm going to go in the same size box as everybody else.
100%.
I might have a little bit more, flash on the collar and some stripes on my wrist area, but that's it. We all
Mhm.
have the same
I agree.
responsibility of carrying, duties to our people. So I love it.
Yeah,
So
I feel sorry. I
No.
feel support. I do feel supported. But from my membership, I do. I know. Don't get me wrong. It's the fire service. I know there's probably people rolling their eyes, like, okay,
yeah,
here's another one, but that's okay, because, like I said,
yeah,
reaching the people that we can to help them. Right? There's no ill intent behind this. This is literally
Right.
to try to help others.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
to the point you said too makes me laugh, because it makes me think about. I put a quote on my door from the door every day.
I like it.
And I got a guy he's retired now. We're buddies, but he'd always come up to me, the old salty guy, and he'd be like, "Is that about me?" like, that's about nobody, man.
Yeah,
But if it
dude.
resonates with you, maybe you should
Yeah.
think about it. But no, it's not about you.
Dude, and the your next best comment, the next day should be like, "This is not about you, but if it hurts your feelings, maybe it is."
Yeah,
Gotta let
exactly.
people just
Seriously.
think about
Seriously. And I
it.
think
That
the
shit's
quote that I had
amazing.
for him was it was the Dalai Lama's don't let the behavior of others destroy your inner
Oh,
peace.
mhm.
And
Yes, and
yes, yeah.
dude, it happens, and there are even times where I'll see, friends, followers, people that I look up to, some confidants and things that will post something, and it's like, but you can take it as an attack, but if you just scratch the layer of humility just a freaking little bit and be like, you know what, maybe if it is, and oh my god, I feel that. How can I, change? And that's where people, and that's where I think what you're doing helps because it really opens people's eyes and
Recognizing
it.
patterns, recognizing
Yes,
your patterns.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
100%,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
So what let's get right into the book. What was what kind of caused you to sort of, you get to a point in your career where you're like, I have enough here to actually write a book and it's a value of my time. What kind of walked you, walk us through that sort of thought process?
Um, yeah, the book was always something in the back of my head. Um, I think it really started to get some traction in my heart and my mind um, during separation and divorce because there was a
Okay.
lot of internal dialogue, a lot of reflection on myself, a lot of um, therapy time that I had to
Mm,
look in the mirror and say, "Holy crap, there's some stuff that I need to take care of and I need to fix about myself in order to be a better leader and a better leader at home and at the firehouse." It's in my book in one of the chapters where I remember showing up to work one day and they're at the coffee table and I popped off on them. And um, one of the members comes into the bunk room and she was like, "Dude, what are you doing? You've been a real prick lately, you know?" And I just looked at her and I'm like, "I'm getting divorced." And she was like, "Why aren't you
yeah.
talking? You're not talking to anybody. You need to talk to me. Talk to your friends. I'm your friend." And I'm like, "Holy cow." So
Mm,
having all those experience combined with the fire service and then with promotion and moving up and stuff like that with the experience, um, I just saw so many of my life's patterns and things that I didn't acknowledge that I saw that
mm,
I was successful in the fire service with and trying to take the two and bring them together.
mm,
So my advice or my um, words of wisdom that I have from my life experience is from my experience in my work field, but also my life experience, right? My childhood coming up. Um, and I think being vulnerable and opening up and putting my story out there, which is it's not I don't have a crazy unique story, you know. I'm not my childhood wasn't Goggins like, but it was my experience. And I
mm,
know and I have that one reel out there where I got emotional from my podcast here where it's because I know there's so many people out there. And yeah, generally my story might resonate with men more. But I know there are so many more men out there
mm,
who are going through the same things, who can handle it better, to be outstanding fathers, um, spouses, husbands, workers. And it's not just our field of work, you know, that's just my story. That's how I relate to people. But there's so many people out there that I feel can live their own existence better because I realized that I could, you know.
mm,
Um, and it doesn't happen until you finally acknowledge it, right?
mm,
Like, man, I was a dick for a lot of years. I was silent. I was not the kindest person. I could have been a lot better, you know, and I know I'm a
mm,
human being, but if I gain this awareness and understand that I need to get better, then what's the next step for me? The acknowledgement is going back and tracing back to patterns that I inherited from my parents, who I love my
Mm,
parents, but man, they had some bad patterns that they passed on to me that were
sure. Yep.
um, living through me, and that people were on the receiving end of those. So why not acknowledge all of this and just write a book, and maybe out
Mm,
there someone will read that book and it'll help change their life. That's truly
yeah.
the intent behind it. It was, not gonna lie, man, there was some stuff that I put in there and I'm like, oof, I don't know if I should. Uh, my mom is a spitfire of a Puerto Rican. She's intense. She was militant growing up. Um, and my father was your traditional guy, man. He works 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day in a factory.
Mm,
Um, but I think the biggest support that I've had is my dad reading the book and saying this needs to get out there. Because I was talking about him, a lot of the times in
yeah.
that book. And to get
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
to get that kudos from him, that meant the world to me. So,
Oh, that's
I know I
awesome.
kinda rambled on that about the book, but
No, dude.
that's why the book's out there?
You hit the nail, and that is, it's funny. I when launching the podcast was, you know, in your whole mission too, right? If we just get to one, just make a difference in somebody's life, and I love it. I have and yours is on the list, a plethora of books that I need to sit down and read. I
It's
you
a
know
quick one.
I envy anybody that can read fast. So if it it's, I mean, I love it though, because I love
JP, I'll
reading
tell you this.
people's
I'll tell you
stories.
this. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
The book, the way it's written, is for
Yep.
people to be able to achieve completion of reading a book. It
Mm,
is
I
poetic.
appreciate that.
It's a quick read. A lieutenant from Chicago I'm close with, um, he wrote me, and his support for me was just absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
And when he
Yeah.
read the book, he said to me, he goes, "Jay, I haven't read a book in 25 years."
No
And
way.
he goes, "I finished your book," and he goes, "I like the way you wrote it because it gave me the ability to just finish this book." And I said, "Absolutely." I had another
Mm.
battalion chief read it, and he said he finished it in 4 hours. I'm like, maybe I made it too easy. I don't know.
Shit. Like, yeah, that's there are some people that can fly through
Yes.
books.
Yeah.
And,
Not
and I
me.
en- I envy that. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
envy that hardcore. But no, it's
No.
how long did it take you to kind of compile the whole book and get it all together before it was ready for publish?
Um, with notes, I took a lot of notes on rucks that I took.
Mm,
So I'd have my phone out and just write notes, because that's part of physical, mental therapy for me is getting out there and doing jogs or rucks or
mm,
golfing or some sort of exercise where I'm just out there with myself.
yeah, yeah.
I would say probably 2, 3 years, 3 years with the
Yeah.
notes. Yeah, I think even more so it's you compile this stuff, you get it together, and then
Mm,
it's the courage to put it out there because that was
yes.
daunting to me, you know?
Right. Well, because you're humble as the day is long, and I get it because you're like, well, who the hell's gonna read this? Like, and dude, I love it. I'm glad that you did. I love seeing people be able to achieve, their dreams, their goals. Um,
And brother, I've been mocked on this thing too.
really,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
dude, I that's just, it blows my mind. Where before I do
Blows my
forget,
mind. It's crazy.
right? Like, where can people get the book from?
It's on Amazon. Right now it's
Perfect.
on
All right,
Amazon.
cool.
Yeah, I did a self-publish.
I
And
love
then
that's yeah.
shortly after, uh, 3 weeks after, I go online just to see how it's doing. And there's a book put out 3 weeks after. It's basically the exact same thing.
No way.
Brother, and now it's
Mm,
gone. It's off of there. And
interesting.
yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm not going to say it's 100%, but I feel like there's people out there, and I know they're mocking it, and that's okay
Yeah, oh
because that
yeah.
doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me.
There's a good friend of mine that uses the phrase, man, flattery or sorry, imitation is one of the greatest forms of flattery.
Hmm.
And there's a lot to be said, and it takes courage and fortitude to write a book. I have done it. I have not published it yet, but it's we're getting there. Again,
Awesome.
slow process,
Yeah.
and it all boiled down to I titled it rising through rejection. I should have done, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, because I've put in for, man, a handful of fire chiefs jobs. And the first few I had no credentials. I literally I
Hmm.
should have never even applied for them. I didn't have any, certs. I didn't have any degrees or anything. And but I had always at least been strong enough on resume and in interview to get to literally second or third finalist before being. So after a while, it attacks your identity. So same thing, man. It was how I was able to really. It started off as more of a research for myself of why does it happen? How do you get past the rejection? After a while, again, same thing,
Hmm.
kind of compiling notes. I'm like, there's substance here, and I just sort of started slapping it together. And I've seen some people will throw books together in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, well, how much of that is what you're saying versus
Yeah.
artificial intelligence? And
Yeah.
it's tough. It really really is, because it's so easy to just BS our way with
Well, for
artificial
sure. And I
intelligence
think that
now.
when they came out was definitely AI, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so I had made a comment on one of the socials where I said, you know what? Here's the reality of it. If this is AI and it's mocking my book, but it's putting out the same information and it helps somebody, I just
Yeah.
won. I'm not
Or
looking
yeah,
for the dollar signs, you know?
oh yeah,
That's not
yeah.
that's not
No,
what it's
we
about.
we get paid in a different currency in the fire service for
Yeah.
sure. I love it. So I want to kind of go back a little bit to how you mentioned the crew when you're going through your divorce. So, kind of ties into the book a little bit. I
Mhm.
bounce all over the place when we talk, but um how humbling, like I just part of kind of a two-part question. Was it you were trying to protect the crew, or did you not even really realize that you were holding it in, or that you could talk? Because I know sometimes there's a whole, once you start crossing a certain threshold as far as leadership and positions, you're supposed to have you can always, you can complain up, but you can never complain down or whatever. And a lot
Mhm.
of people try to exile themselves. Did that play into it at all, or was it sort of just you didn't realize that you were internalizing everything?
I think part of it was not realizing I was internalizing, but I think the
Mm,
other thing was when I started at my department, we were a salty older department,
okay.
so
Yep.
that kind of stuff I don't think would have resonated very well.
Mm,
Um, but I know I've mentioned this on a previous podcast with the fact that the beauty of it for me was when my mentor passed away, and it was a call that I was on. Uh,
mm,
when I opened up in the peer support group, because I'm surrounded by guys with 25 plus years, that generation, those guys, they weren't going to do the peer support. They weren't buying into it. That just wasn't their
sure.
thing, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Whatever. No judgment. But I was sitting there, and I went, I got to be me. So I let it out, man.
Mm,
I put was doing compressions on my mentor. Um,
yeah.
but after that, two or three of those guys by myself would pull me to the side. Hey, man, you
Mm,
okay? You good? Give me a hug. So that was their way.
yeah.
And generationally, we're changing for sure. I think we have an incredible opportunity right now with the younger folks that,
Mm,
and you won't hear me generational bash. I won't do it because we have to find the good in everybody, and there's a lot of
yeah.
good out there. There's so much there's a lot of good out there. Um, I think they're very much open more and receptive to having these conversations and talking and therapy and stuff. But I
Mm,
also I caution people that we tend to do things. either this far or that far. We go so far on one end, you know?
Yes.
And I think we should caution people on that line. The talking and feeling and acknowledging and understanding is a great thing, but not everything is and I don't want to go into the science of it, but not everything is PTSD. Not everything is that, you know.
Yes. Yep.
So we have to be careful on that line too. But to that point, I think we are finding with newer members now, I love when they're open to these conversations because I am
Mm,
seeing awesome dudes and women who are great family members at home, who are dedicated, they're good spouses. I
mm,
see that and I feel hopeful, right?
yeah.
And that's no dig to the past either, because I
Sure.
my career is because of the past, right? But
Mm,
at the same time, whether I had good mentors or I had bad mentors, I learned from both, right? You have to,
yes.
because the bad ones
Yep.
sometimes teach you more, you know?
Dude, I just had this. I went on a freaking tear. I forget if it was, I don't remember if it was during a record, because I do a ton of, whether it be a podcast or the Sunday Night Lives on TikTok. And I went on a tear, a cheek clapper of a tear where we went down how unfortunate it actually is with how much we can learn from a horrible boss. Like, absolutely, because it's the playbook for what not to do.
Hmm.
And it's unfortunate as hell because you have to suffer during those, like that. It's the what makes it so unfortunate is how much you suffer as a human and as a professional while you're going through that time, because you feel like an inch tall. You don't know what you question every single thing because it's so
Well, it's like
true.
it's like when you had the flu or you're sick, like while you have it, it doesn't ever feel like it's going to end. But
Yes.
but when it's done and it's over, you're like, oh, all right, I can
Yeah,
breathe
dude.
again. We're good, you know?
Spot on. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the pain that you have to go through to get there. And hopefully through our collective, our platforms and all the other ones that are out there, we can get ahead of that because it truly is. I feel it costs more to be a dick than it really does to just be somebody nice. That's
100%.
just like I feel like you actually have to work harder to be mean. Like it's so much easier to
The
just be a
energy,
happy-go-lucky. Yeah, and it just sucks the life out of you for God's sakes. Yeah,
I
man.
I would say I couldn't speak of the science behind it, but I think there would be more energy, right? Like it takes more muscles to
Mm,
frown than it does smile. That
yeah.
kind of cliche-ish thing, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
to be and my own personal experience when I was a dick and I was frustrated and I was angry, whether it was personal life or whether it was work life, that was exhausting.
It is. Yes,
It
not
was
to mention
exhausting, and my only
yeah.
reprieve, unfortunately, weren't good habits, you know? But the
Mm,
healthier I got, the happier I got, the good habits turned to the things that I wanna do rather than the bad things, you know?
amen. Well, in it, think of your shift. If you're a miserable a-hole all day, I my shifts are short and easy, 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. But if you're pulling a 24 or a 48 or some of these crazy ass ones that are like 96s now, whatever the case
We got
is,
them. We do them.
dude, yeah. So that's a long ass shift to be absolutely a miserable a hole. Now,
Mhm.
conversely, at least I found myself is if you can have fun when you're having fun, you're joking with the crew, you're getting things done, they feel good. There, if you come out and you're like, you know what, I don't like the way that inch and three quarters is packed on the truck, they wouldn't even have to be told. Your next sentence would generally be, let's take it off and we're going to repack it. That's already off the truck before you even said it. Why? Because you have their buy-in, they want to do it, you're going to have fun. And it's so much more pleasurable to be fun. I don't know where people just, and I don't get me wrong, that this job can be jaded. There are times when, yes, we are going to have bad days. Even the sun sometimes has a bad day, so it doesn't want to
Yes,
shine
yes,
type thing.
yes.
So but
But
I
I
mean,
think
it just
with all
yeah.
that, JP. I think the passion that you have behind being a leader, right?
Mm,
Leadership, in my humble opinion, the reason, and this is another reason why, just staring at it right here, why that book came and why it happened, right? Is because in promotion, I got off the ambulance.
mm,
I got off the engine. I was less involved with service to the public. As a battalion chief, I am not going to micromanage. So I stay back a lot of times because I have to trust my people. My people
hmm.
aren't going to grow unless they're doing their job without me watching over them.
Sure.
Now,
Yeah.
big calls, serious calls, obviously I'm going on. But with that growth and upward movement up the ladder, I felt I wasn't serving. Like in my
Mm,
mind, I wasn't. But then I
yeah.
started listening to my podcast, different podcasts and stuff like that. And
Sure.
John Maxwell is a big one to me, and
Mm,
servant leadership. And I that's what I'm passionate about because I
hmm.
learned that now my role is serving my members. And by
Yes.
serving them, they become so good at what they do and at their job that they're the ones serving. They're my extension. Now they're the ones serving the public with the best service possible, you know?
Mm,
Um, so serving, just serve others. And that's to the point of yours, like, if you're gonna go around on a 24-hour shift and be a dick, I don't know how you do it. Now, if you choose to serve
yeah.
these people, you are, and you hit the nail on the head. You're gonna get that good energy back. And you're gonna
Right.
get people responsive to you, and they're gonna wanna make you proud, which is those were the best leaders that I had. The leader
Mm,
that, if he's not around and we're doing something and I screw up, I'm like, "Oh, crap. Man, I let so and so down. I let that
ooh.
coach down. I let that boss down." They don't even have to be there, but their
Yeah.
influence on you, since it's not fear, it's the fact that
Mm,
you appreciate how much they do for you and that they're not
yes.
doing it for the intent of a badge or a
Mm,
bugle or any of that. They're doing it with the intent to help you. And
mm.
that's the best part about leadership to me. Helping people is
Oh,
it's just fun.
it
It's
is.
fun.
It
Yeah.
and it's watching. I found at least with I hate to use the word subordinates, but subordinates are those that are underneath my direction. Watching them be successful or seeing them take, for me, the biggest change was going from being a boss of crews that do and then moving up, into captain and then to deputy was the aspect of, oh wait, now the ones that have to discipline are fellow officer, different, totally different
Mhm.
feeling. But what I've seen is the growth of watching the lieutenant actually be able to handle what they're doing. I don't have to be like, "Hey, I probably should have done this a little differently, try to do it this way next time," or whatever the case is. It's just it's happening now. How long for you from the move up to the BC position did it really take you to kind of adjust? And this is just me asking from one chief to another
Mhm.
because I'm still learning myself to
I was
this
gonna
day.
say, yeah, you're learning every
Like,
day. You're learning every day. I had some doozies of situations that came at me right away when I got bumped up.
mm, yep,
And learning from those experiences, I look back and I'm like, crap, I could have done this differently. I could have done that differently. But I know I have flaws. So I look at those flaws and say, hey, man, we got to do better next time because
yeah,
these people, they're relying on you. They're relying on your ability to want to be better for them,
mm,
not just myself. It's for everybody else,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm very fortunate that I have a deputy. So there's two deputies in our department, and there are moments in time he almost, we almost have like that senior man officer relationship because I will do something or send an email out, and he'll call up and be like, "I feel you probably could have worded that a little bit better," because what happens what happens with me a lot, my biggest learning curves were I have a very, very low flash point. So if something happens, sometimes it's immediate. And I'm like, I gotta pop and get right to it, or whatever the case is. I'll use not that long ago, there was a firefighter that went live on their social media page at the Boston line of duty death funeral. And it just, so of course the my my wife's like, breathe. Why don't you think on this for a second? Because she saw me. She sees me out on the deck filming, and she can. I'm livid, and of course it was whatever it was, because she's in the department too. So she had trained that night and I didn't. However, no, she left early, so I did it before she left, and I got into the office for nighttime training. And so I make it, I send it. And we cross paths during training. And I go, that video I just made is popping off. And she goes, I thought you weren't gonna do it. And I'm like, yeah, I accidentally hit the submit button or whatever it was. There was no accident. It was fully intentional. But there are times where, in other aspects of my career where it's just I've popped off. And that's where, again, that other deputy, generally speaking, is like, JP, you might want to. So,
I
what's
give that
fun is
advice
when,
I give that advice to the members all the time. I'm like, my career was the
yeah,
same way. My flashpoint was low, but I always
yeah,
had a partner with me who was the person throughout my career who'd always be like, hey, breathe, Jay. Let's take it back. So I advise anybody, you have to have somebody else, right?
yes. And sometimes I will say it sucks because I just want to just let me explode, dude. But what's fun is when the roles are reversed, because the other day, a while back now, actually, he's covering a per diem shift at the office, and he goes, and the 5-inch hose is jammed so tight into the hose bed. He's like, that ain't gonna pull off if we have to, lay hose into the scene. And he goes through and he looks up the call log, and he's like, all right, I'm going to email this lieutenant, and this captain, and I'm going to figure out exactly what happened. Now, mind you, that morning, we had one of our best wheelmen. So we are a combination department. So myself and the chief are the only 2 full timers, and the rest are all paid on call. That morning, our absolute best wheelman lost his very, very short and courageous battle to cancer that very morning. So of course he's fuming about everything. I go, do you really think today is the best day to send that email? And he kind of stopped. I think what was fun about it, one, it was a little bit of humor for a very, very awful day for us. But he kind of looked at me because there's a big age gap. He is at least 20, if not 25 years my senior. So he kind of looks over and he goes, yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. So later in the day, because of the passing of our member, the captain happened to pop in, and him and the deputy had a conversation. So he goes, well, I tried to follow your advice, but I did. So I look at him and I go, I would expect that out of me, but not you. And it boiled down to, it was just a conversation of, hey, what happened here, what happened there, and it wasn't an ass chewing like I was expecting him to send down. But there are some times where it's just sit on that email, and you're right, and it's a lot of times too. I'm not sure if you've experienced this. I've found that sometimes an out of the agency voice is even better because they're so removed from, because they don't care. Because if you have a peer in your, within the 4 walls of your own house, they might be, persuaded to be like, all right, Jay, don't do it this way. Like, I would say this or do it that way. And you're like, well, are you telling me that as a brother, or are you telling me that because you're just going to want to see me, you're teeing me up for something, or whatever the case is. But dude, that's amazing stuff. So let's get to the podcast really quick. So one, I love the name.
Thank you.
What sort of was the precipice behind the podcast, the name, and how are we going? How is the process of that working through?
Well, the process is, I feel it's building. It's going great. There's the logo right there. Built, not inherited. It came from the book is the foundation of everything for me.
Yep.
That's what got my what I thought my momentum going. But my best friend growing up, his name's Jack. He's going to produce the show. He's here right now. He is a musician. He has the
Awesome.
equipment. Yeah, he has the equipment, which is just a blessing. But I realized when we were talking about it, I saw his passion, and I saw how he resonated with the messages that I was talking about. And let's be honest, this guy witnessed my childhood, so he knew that
Yeah, sure,
like, this
sure.
is a guy who's going to hold me accountable. There's no lies. It's just my truth. So when I realized his passion, that's where I think the built not inherited idea came to be. All right, we're not just going to keep this fire service. We
I
have to.
love it.
We're going to expand it to moms, dads, anybody who's whatever 9 to 5 job, whatever you do. We're all facing the same things. I mean, um, if anybody can't tell right now, get on social media, look online. It's a pretty intense world right now. So why not have an outlet where we can have episodes where we talk to people and talk about how they've changed their inherited patterns, how they've had awareness, how they've acknowledged, how they've grown, and the stories of real people, right? A lot of people go through a lot. We already have a couple guest ideas. We've talked to people to be on the show. They're excited. Everybody's excited, and people are excited to help people. And that's the
Yes.
whole intent behind it, And the true blessing, my friend, is having a best friend, a childhood best friend who, I mean, I've known this guy since I was in 4th grade. I still have a drawing we did together from 4th grade.
That's
But
awesome. I love it.
but to have his support and his belief behind this just, I think, makes our platform together a little bit. And it's not, gosh, I want to phrase it right, because I would love to do fire service, but I just wanted to go open the doors for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, for
because
sure.
I really just I want people to live their best life, my friend. That's it.
Oh,
That's it. That's what I love.
Yes. Yes.
So that's
I
where the beyond the book and built not inherited. It's for everybody. It's coming out. It's going to be fun. I hope people tune in and feel a way that they could relate and understand that they're not alone. Nobody's alone. Or they shouldn't
Dude.
be. That's for sure.
What a great I feel I'm a firm believer that there are some podcasts that have, we focus traditionally on leadership with the passionate leader. But we'll bring in, mental health people. And some of the funner ones that I've had are folks who are not, and I've only had one so far. He's a leadership expert, but he's not had no
Awesome.
fire service experience. And it's it's neat to see a totally different perspective, because what it basically, it's another way to show, even bringing on leaders in the fire service does this too. But there's a lot to the belief that when you get outside of your 4 walls of the firehouse and you realize there's really not 4 walls within the firehouse. It's everybody is doing the same thing, and it's that cliche, corny old saying, not my circus, not my monkeys type thing. We really are all it's all the same circus, just with different monkeys. And but I love getting in not hand, what it is. And from me to a new podcaster is not handcuffing yourself to a certain, because if you handcuff yourself to a certain group or demographic or not genre, but you know what I'm trying to get at. It's you really sort of, you lessen what you can get, and I think it's great. So have any episodes been released yet, or are we still
not
in?
yet.
I love
We're
it.
gonna do
Okay,
the
awesome.
pilot one is being worked on right now. The introduction of myself, my best friend, and then we're gonna go from there. I know my wife
love
wants
it.
to be on it. She wants to tell, I think, my story for everybody.
Right?
Which will be fun.
Yeah.
Which will be
No,
fun.
for sure.
And I gotta say kudos to you, man, because you're your podcast, I've watched your stuff, your
I
platform.
appreciate it.
It isn't, I don't feel that it's just fire service, or it's genuinely leadership. And that goes beyond, like, those four walls that you said. And let's be truthful, you having me on here, my experience as a battalion chief is used to spread a message, right?
Yes.
But we're not sitting here talking hose lays and nozzles and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
We're talking life. So kudos to you. I really appreciate it.
We didn't even talk anything fire service related, if we're being completely, just very, very minimal stuff. That's where it starts. And man, I love what you're doing, and I cannot wait to
appreciate
see
that.
you wait to see you guys grow. I will give the only 2, maybe 3 portions of the show that are ever scripted are the intro, the outro, and the only question that every single guest gets. It's a leadership one, so it's not bad. So I want you to picture yourself. You're at the office. A new firefighter walks in. He walks up and he says, "Chief, I want to start my journey down the path to becoming a leader in the fire service. What is your one raw, unfiltered, and unadulterated piece of advice?"
Ooh, I like this. Are you ready to serve the people below you and above you and all around you? As corny as that sounds, you need to understand that service is beyond those four walls. It's not just the public. You're serving even the members you don't like. You're serving everybody, because if you can't handle that, then the role is not for you.
Jay, dude, I've never had such a good answer. We had some good ones, some real bangers on the show, but that is because it's true. And I think that right there is the all-encompassing question that every young officer or aspiring officer needs to hear, because where I think that we certainly fail the most in the fire service currently is preparing our leader. We teach a lot about how to be a firefighter, a ton, and we do a great job at it. But man, do we really miss the mark on what it really takes to be a leader? And that litmus test question is huge. I love that.
We don't want bosses. We want leaders. That's what we
Amen.
want.
Oh.
That's what we craved when we didn't like our bosses. And
Yes.
unfortunately, and we could go on and on this, but unfortunately, a lot of people cross that line and then they repeat the traits. Right?
Yes.
And that goes right back into my book. Why are we repeating blueprints we don't want to have?
100%, dude.
Right?
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
So much.
You have to, and then this is the last I'll say on that. It's not about you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest
took
quote
a lot for me.
I love that quote. It's not about you. And once you understand that, man, leadership in life gets a lot better.
I love it. Guys, man, this has been a hell of an episode. Jay, dude, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I'm going to do my plug here. Right there.
So I was going to say, please plug everything where guys can get a hold of you, where they can find your book and everything like that. This is your absolute time for shameless pluggeration. So let it rip.
All right. Carrying the Fire. It is out on Amazon. It's self-published. Pick it up. I truly do believe it will open your eyes to understanding why you act the way you do. And not every blueprint is bad, people, but you will have a better awareness of who you are as a person. And once you understand that, you can make corrective actions to behaviors you don't want your kids to have or your members to have. And when you do that, you're actually just building and building outwards and outwards. And more people are going to have a positive effect, because we all share this world. And why not make it a better one? Built, Not Inherited. That's going to be just an exciting podcast. It'll be coming out soon. You can follow me on my reels on Instagram, TikTok, Jason Yerkovich, author, Facebook, all that stuff. Follow me. Enjoy the ride. I know I am. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on here, JP. You're well spoken. You are a leader, and I love the passion behind it. So I
Thank you, brother.
appreciate it very much. Honestly, thank you so much.
Awesome. Again, man, thank you for your time. For our listeners and viewers, if you want to see our beautiful mugs on the YouTube, have at it. Let it rip. If something in today's episode stuck, don't let it sit. Please make a share. Please share it across all platforms, as that really is that's the truth in the actual what's what I'm looking for. The metric and how we can really tell that we're really doing it is, likes and follows are cool, but the shares really show that you guys really know that we're hitting other people. Um, Follow the passionate leader across all platforms. Follow Jason Yerkovich across all platforms. We're going to shine that across the screen. It'll be in all of the show notes. I'm going to be very disappointed if I do not see people follow, because if you're not following him and you're following me, you are doing a disservice to yourself. Follow the passionate leader across all platforms. Like I said, pull up a chair every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TikTok Live, where real talk drives real change. If you want deeper conversations and first access to exclusive offers, join us on Discord and step into the inner circle. But more importantly, be the kind of leader that somebody else is praying for, the leader that you needed when you first joined the fire service. And no matter what comes your way, remember this: lead with passion, serve with humility, and leave no room for bottom feeders. Until we see each other again, everybody, stay safe.
We're the passionate